My father used to pretend to eat a fridge magnet that was shaped like a cookie. It would be our little routine of him pretending to bite into it and chomping away before gasping in fake realization that he was in fact not eating a real cookie. It's not that my 5-year-old brain believed that the magnet was an actual cookie, but my father and I were in on this little pretend lie that we connected through in the giggles and make-believe of our shared story of the cookie being real. Film seems to pull on this same concept, the make-believe of a lie in order to convey something. It's interesting that the first montage used in Battleship Potemkin is positioned as a lie, a trick of the senses to communicate a scene. And while the position of the frames may be a lie in their setup or conveyance of reality, it does show how film can be a tool for revealing perspectives of truth, the make-believe of a shared story. I've been watching a variety of critically acclaimed films that I found in the DVD section of the university library, each conveying their truth and their lies, but I don't naturally look for the deception in the filmmaking. I look for the heart of the story it is trying to convey, how a frame lingers and pulls at your feelings with one glance. Arthur W. Frank, author of Letting Stories Breathe, refers to stories as the reminder of the fact we have to live with complicated truths, how stories can be a gift or a danger. He also notes people's access to narrative resources depends on their social locations, what stories are told where they live and work, which stories do they take seriously or not, and especially what stories they exchange as tokens of membership, with jokes being the most frequent among these. A good number of films I have watched so far have been banned in their home countries or had restrictions placed on its storyline because it conveyed a social truth that someone wants to censor. Their social locations binding them to a specific story, yet the messaging remains universal. These films have gotten acclaim for not only daring to speak, but also in its exchange of understanding humanity and its motives. When I walked onto the film campus for the first time, I felt this incredible pull on my own spirit, as if all the ghosts of my own past and the endeavors of filmmakers that have come before drew me into the room. I could imagine them sitting in those seats, discussing the human condition, the fundamental, complicated truths we all live with. The very nature of those conversations conveyed with such meaning across time that they found themselves all the way into a DVD player of a home in the year 2025. In life, we never know how many stories we get to tell. Many artists are taken from the world sooner without ever knowing the impact of their work. We never know which piece of art may be our last. Jonathan Larson felt the clock ticking against him as he wrote Rent, and he never got to see its success or its legacy. Jim Henson left this world never fully getting to see the cult following of the films that flopped in the box office. Some filmmakers made their ultimate film only to be ripped apart by the industry and critical reviews, unaware that years later it would be revered as a classic. And I think of my friend playing piano in a coffee shop, where now there is only a placard of his name on the piano in the corner he used to play, and the empty remains of a place that no longer exists. Artists are always running out of time. It's something I've always known, but sitting in the movie theater, my eyes enraptured by the cinematography of the life of Maurice Ravel, the famous French composer, I found myself feeling the intensity of Father Time. The film follows the creation of Ravel's famous piece Bolero, created for Ida Rubinstein's ballet. Ravel wrestles with his writer's block, procrastinates with what he feels he cannot connect to, yet he creates a composed piece that has transcended far beyond his lifetime. The film follows his artistry just as much as it follows his heartbreak. I felt acutely the unraveling of what becomes of an artist's plight when they lose their ability to create what they are meant to do in their lifetime. He was immune to others' criticism as he was his own harshest critic, but he was not immune to what comes for us all. Slowly he cannot remember, slowly he cannot play, and then all at once the artist who was once revered can no longer reach their calling. They run out of time. I felt time from a young age, always seeing the goodbyes and the hellos and the endings and beginnings. I can see the beginning of chapters as I hold the little one in my arms, just as much as I can see the final chapter when I sit quietly with my cup of tea, listening to an 8-year-old telling me about her walk from school that morning and seeing her mother in the kitchen, the angels seemingly looming in the windows. While life has its beginnings and endings, there are all the moments in between that we are remembered for. I can see all the traces of pathways where they lead, falter, rebuild, and sift away at the end of the road of life. How little time we have with our own memory, our own creativity. If stories truly have the power to be a gift, we may run out of time and meet Father Time right at the door, but our stories do not. Some stories pull on the strings of time and reach far into the future without our knowing, beyond the criticism of when we are alive and beyond the earth we return to. Stories are alive, breathing, even when we are gone. Arthur W. Frank remarks that many of the stories we forge ahead with in life are the ones outside our control in childhood, the ones we were so little and absorbing that we didn't realize they were stories at all. Running around the kitchen of my childhood home, my father wasn't just communicating the story of the fake cookie. He was sharing his sense of humor, his delight at seeing me wriggle around with giggles, believing in the make-believe. It was a gift he gave me at a young age, a story he didn't even know he was telling, that created my ability to imagine past any hardship or loss that would come after. Just as Ravel didn't know that a filmmaker with a dream would see a depiction of his life on a random Tuesday in winter, a small movie theater in Aotearoa. He didn't know the impact he would have not only in his ability to compose music, but in the reality of his life, how he lived, and how he died. So if it is true that our time with our own stories is limited, I hope that our memories become the stories that humanize time. That our lives find meaning in the art that calls to us, where we hold the heart of humanity and the reason we place our greatest gifts into the hands of those to come. Because there are stories only we can tell as we run out of time.